is the most insane, challenging, and at times downright cruel thing I have done in any video game I played in my entire life. It also happened to be the most fun and rewarding experience I had playing Warframe, my favorite live service slop in what feels like years at this point. How so? Let me introduce you to my new, extremely restricted challenge account I silently enjoyed for the last couple of months. This is CreditsLocked, a young Tenno operator that can't find use of any money he earns on his journey to conquer the entire solar system. On Steel Pass, by the way. Doesn't sound that challenging. Well, in case you're unfamiliar with Warframe's convoluted progression systems, money, or credits, how it's called there, are needed for pretty much everything you can imagine. Not only for stuff like weapon or Warframe blueprints from the in-game market shop, or, for example, ordering your husbando a couple dozens of pool tables to ease his military-grade tinnitus from the local eBay. You are using credits to craft any item on your forge. Weapons, warframes, miscellaneous stuff like cosmetics or quest items needed for progression. Also very important mechanics like incubation segment or helmets. That means no Q-brows, kvads, also no ability transferring or Archon shards, and I would love to have one of those. But it's not like I could get it anyway, because the mid tier is locked behind an Entrati family reputation rank, and leveling your syndicates is quite pricey. Which also means no buying arcanes, no buying amps, Zos, or keyed guns for that matter. People have beaten the game on Mastery rank 0, so I guess we'll be fine. No mod fusion is devastating. Modding is the way to get stronger in this game, and we are almost entirely locked out of engaging with this system. Forget about everything else. This is an absolute worst restriction out of them all. Additionally, I'm doing this run completely solo, forbidding myself from trading, using co-op, accessing clan dojos, and spending platinum for obvious reason. It's a lot. Let's compare it to the list of things I am allowed to do. How the f am I supposed to beat Steel Path? Cut, stop! Shut up! Shut the fuck! Now, I have to address an elephant in the room. Is it possible to beat the entire game without credits? No, it's not. What a bummer. Warframe is an always online live service game with an incredibly strict progression path. And despite how much I would want to sequence break it like it's Yumfax's video, it simply isn't possible. There would be some exceptions made to progress the story, however, I would not allow myself to capitalize on this in any way. For example, to escape Earth through the Venus Junction, we have to upgrade a Dreamer's Bond aura mod. Doing it would lock me out of using this particular mod for the rest of this account. And of course, I'm gonna keep track of all the unavoidable expenses, updating this pretty neat counter every time. So, starting the game, we already met with one of the most important choices that would affect this whole account. Who are we playing as? And I'm gonna spoil it right now, there's no way for me to obtain any new frames. The character I'm getting as my starter is gonna be the character I'm gonna finish the game with. Excalibur has an already built-in S-tier melee weapon, his Exalted Blade. Meg is a great gun platform with a lot of amazing crowd control. And Walt is the only one who doesn't suck here. So here's a quick rundown of my electric hedgehog Pokemon. His one shock zaps enemies in front of him, proccing a guaranteed electricity status effect that stun locks enemies and deals damage over time. It's also incredibly cheap. His 2, creatively called Speed, turns him into a blender, increasing his movement speed, melee attack speed, and I guess reload speed. On his 3, Walt can deploy an electric shield. It's the name of the skill, by the way. It blocks enemy bullets and projectiles. Some projectiles. Yeah, pretty cool. However, more importantly, shooting through the barrier would enhance the crit damage of your shots and give them additional electricity damage. And electricity is an area of effect, damage over time status effect. So yeah, the shield will be surprisingly useful. His 4 discharge is a massive area of effect nuke button that ignores line of sight, and his passive... He doesn't have a passive. Once again, there is no way for me to craft or buy any items, so I don't want to be stupid with the free ones I'll get as my starter weapons. I took bow instead of a scanner sword as a force of habit. Previously you could get a polyarm stance mod a lot sooner than the sword stance, making bow a bit more optimal for the early game, but nowadays both of these are coming with their respective stances, so it's not that big of a difference. I like to hit them with a stick! Later over kunai any day of the week, at least I know I'm gonna use it, and it doesn't matter what would I pick between a bow or a rifle, because we're getting both of these after finishing the new, updated Awakening quest. After escaping the tutorial mission, we are starting the War's Prize quest, during which we have to fix our orbiter, rebuild our forge segment, and craft an Ascaris negator to cure our space gonorrhea given us by old, crusty, saggy Captain War's cheeks. No tippy-topping around it, add our first 100 to a counter. However, there was a way to avoid it back in the day. When the Duviri Paradox quest first came out, you could choose to start your new account with it instead of doing the War's Prize. Sadly, no luck for us, cause it was moved to Uranus. Anyway, after kicking War's shin right to the temple so hard he ragdolled instead of doing his usual escape animation, we are finally free to explore the solar system. I would say, if we wouldn't be immediately locked out of progression until we complete a Venus junction. Junctions in this game are basically star gateways with various requirements and rewards for completing them. Think of them as of small, obligatory tutorials for mechanics this game's developer didn't know how to explain, so they just put a checklist of things for you to do, hoping you would figure the rest out by yourself. Honestly, it's a fine way to do it, but for my account that tries to avoid all unnecessary spendings, having multiple tasks like buy an X item from the market is just annoying. It's like they think I'm too stupid to remember how to use a forge, so they have to show me it 3 separate times. I am kinda stupid, to be honest. Speaking about tutorials, the first requirement to unlock a Venus junction is to complete the newish quest called The Teacher, during which we are gonna be forced to learn about the basics of modding, elemental damage types, and how to upgrade our mods. The cheapest mod we unavoidably have to fuse into is Vitality, so add a 483 build to the counter, and again, I am not allowed to use this mod anymore, cause it's got upgraded using credits. But on the opposite side, we got a free turnback semi-automatic rifle for completing the quest. It's definitely not good, but maybe I'll find a use for it later. And also a lot of good unupgraded mods to stuff inside my vault. However, we still aren't finished with the junction. Now we have to upgrade a previously mentioned Dreamer's Bond Aura mod, which costs 966 credits, and to build a Texan follower for a whooping 15,000 greens. The interesting thing is that despite Texan having a 1-minute craft time, the game just asks you to start building it, which means you can cancel it, getting all of the materials and credits back in your inventory. However, since these 15,000 credits left my pocket for a couple of seconds, I have to add them to our counter. I wouldn't be able to pay if I had no money on my hands. I think it's fair. In any case, there is no point in crying over spilled milk. There is a whole solar system to conquer. Dealing with the Vault Spectre, we finally unlocked Venus and got rewarded with a fully automatic pistol Furis already built and ready to use. Also, I forgot to mention that I got a pair of Dex Dakra, a very decent melee weapon from a limited time mission dedicated to the 13th anniversary of the game. It's nothing to write home about, except maybe its status chance is surprisingly okay, but hopefully it will be more than enough to carry our ass for the early game until we could get our grabby little hands onto some better gear. Of course, some may argue that since it's a limited time event reward, maybe it isn't fair to use it on a challenge account, because it cannot be replicated by any other player who wants wants to play this game with my restrictions. Except these are given out for all players every year since 2015. But okay, I will entertain this idea. Maybe you're right, don't worry, I'll definitely gonna address it later.
My name is Drake and I like penis. I come from Venus. I am the...
Unlocking Venus is a massive milestone for any new player. A full-fledged introduction of a Corpus faction with their beautiful snowy tile set, new resources that allow you to craft many iconic weapons, Fortuna with dozens hours of stuff to do.
Dark from coming, feel the weight of what we owe.
The Jackal boss that allows you to craft Rhino? Nah, sadly, nothing for my account. Venus would be a very quick stop for us. But still, there is some mandatory chores to do. Like, for example, completing the Vox Solaris quest. Not gonna linger on it for long. If you for some weird reason interested in hearing me describing it, check out my Wave Riders vid. I need more views. I need it! And our reward for completing Vox Solaris is the K-Drive. I will never use. I guess it also unlocks a Deadlock Protocol side quest. Please remember it, because it will be important in 100 hours or so. Mercury Junction is an interesting one. Besides beating the Solaris quest, we also have to defeat Jackal, a giant mechanical multi-phase boss, and I'm really happy it's an early game encounter and I can manage it without relying on any mods, because the fight is... As I already mentioned, Jackal drops various blueprints that allow you to craft Rhino, my absolutely favorite Warframe. Check my video about Rhino, it's a second self-plug in this section. I have no shame. And Mercury Junction forces us to craft one of these Rhino parts for 15,000 and to buy the main Rhino blueprint from the marketplace for another 35,000 credits. Remember what I told you about a list of chores? Yeah, the developer really wants you to build Rhino before progressing, and I'm happy it isn't necessary. Not because I'm worried about extra credits spent, but because it would be unreasonably painful to proceed with the challenge while seeing a fully built Rhino collecting dust in my arsenal. Yeah, with his total invincibility button, his infinite damage scaling button, and his monstrous 12-inch Rhino core. But still, it makes me really mad. And the only way I can let go of this anger is to one-tap a Rhino Spectre on a junction to Mercury, getting a bolter assault rifle as a reward. A sincere question. What is the worst planet in this game? The lamest, the suckiest, the most useless planet? Yes, it's Mercury. There is absolutely nothing of value for my, or for that matter, any account or Mercury, maybe besides an extremely short quest called Once Awake that works as an introduction to the infested enemy faction we have to complete to unlock a Mars Junction anyway. And during this quest, we are getting our hands on Molten Impact mod that adds a minuscule 15% hit damage to my melee weapons on rank 0, of course. It'll come very handy pretty soon. And the last and also the weirdest thing we have to do before moving to Mars is to buy a Mark 1 weapon from the market. Please explain to me what they are trying to teach new players with this one, because they already showed me how to operate the market when I was forced to buy a Rhino blueprint. Or maybe the developer is already insisting on you min-maxing your mastery rank XP. I don't know. And it doesn't even matter, because once again, I'm not allowed to use any of these weapons anyway. Another 15,000 credits to the tracker, please. Yeah, it starts to add up. But don't worry, it'll stop at some point. Yeah, definitely. So after dealing with Loki's Spectre and getting this useless piece of shit, my least favorite weapon in the whole game, as a reward, we are finally ready to visit the Red Giant and that slimy, smelly tonsil stone. There is not much to do for my account on Mars, except getting some free, useful mods from the nearby optional junctions I'm not gonna bother doing right now, and fighting a lieutenant like Krill boss on a war mission node. However, for some reason, instead of doing it, I decided to test my luck against another boss, Forid, that could spawn on any boss node during the Infested Outbreak event. It's a giant damage sponge that hits like a truck. It's also much higher level than everything everything in this point of the game, but thanks to my flaming Dex Dakra, and by the way, infested flesh is really weak against fire, I barely survived it. So Deimos, a living moon entirely covered in infestation that hides some incredible secrets and amazing tools for our account underneath its mutated flesh. However, before even coming close to unraveling those secrets, we have to meet the Entrati family during the Heart of Deimos quest and help them to make peace with each other like a good little family psychologist.
Listen to me, Wilker. You're the cock, your wife. Your mutated wife, she hates you. Your son is gay. Your daughter, she listens to BTS. My son, he's straight. He's a straight man. And your son is gay. Your mother is bald. Your wife hates you, Wilker. Your father is gay, just like your son.
I remember this quest being much harder, especially for people who won't bother with learning the modding system up to this point. But surprisingly, it didn't give me any troubles. I guess I just got extremely lucky with enemy spawns and haven't come across any Eximus jugglers while doing it. Who knows? The second half of the quest is entirely spent inside of a necromech, so it's essentially free, unless you are a rich. And our reward for completing the quest is an ability to do Deimos bounties, where we could earn some amazing melee mods that would be incredibly useful for us, even unupgraded. But yes, these bounties aren't the easiest in the game, so I'm gonna work on that later, after getting just a little bit stronger. Heart of Deimos is also the only big requirement to unlock a Jupiter junction, besides fusing into a redirection mod until the rank 5. Just why? 14,973 credits, by the way. I think I'm having trouble spelling the numbers. It's like 40 degrees Celsius outside. My nose is constantly running because I'm having an allergy. I hate how I sound. I really do. Also, the Valkyr Spectre managed to down me somehow. It's the first time it happened to me in my life. Definitely not the last. I'm spoiling it. Jupiter is another and most likely the last fast and easy planet for us. Can't say the same about the next Saturn junction, because this one is a chore. First of all, we have to complete the Archwing quest, during which the game forces us to collect and craft pieces for an Adonata, which costs us a total of 28,000 credits and introduces us to an Archwing game mode. So, this is important. Adonata was crafted for credits during the quest, so I have no business using it according to the rules of this challenge. However, since there is no way for me to obtain any other Archwing without spending any money, and I absolutely have to use one to access Archwing mission nodes needed to complete the star chart, this is gonna be one of only 2 exceptions to the base crafting rule on this whole account. I hope it ain't controversial. Another tedious thing we have to do for this junction is to equip a codex scanner we got as one of the rewards for finishing the Mars junction and use it to completely fill a codex page of any enemy. And here I did something incredibly stupid. I started to use a limited resource on this account without checking what am I even doing. Don't worry, it won't be the last time. So, scanners are a limited resource because the only other mean of obtaining it, besides an already mentioned 25 reward from the Mars junction, is to buy those from the market for credits. These 25 we got are gonna be the only 25 we ever gonna have. Every single enemy has a set amount of scans required to fill their page in our codex. Some 5, some 10, some 3. For some reason, I decided to waste my charges scanning a Roomba and completing a Frontier Lancer's entry, which requires 20 scans to fill. I hope it won't bite us in the ass later down the line. The last roadblock on our way is my boy LV. We have to kill some of his Zanuka summons to stop him from constantly reviving himself. Definitely not a problematic fight. A bit annoying though. And after quickly dealing with the Ember Spectre, we are finally ready to move out of the early game. What's up, Beijing? It's post-production Lian, aka refugee Lian, aka Telegram voice message recording Lian here with an incredibly important channel update. Many of you frequent viewers of my overproduced sludge are familiar with the phrase Warzone of a third world totalitarian country I used to describe my beautiful seaside town as a joke. Well, due to the recent political events, it's not so funny anymore. And you know, since I like having things like electricity or good sleep in my life, I had to move to a quieter place as soon as possible. So, my hard drive with most of its content for the vid, memes, audio, the entire Vegas project didn't survive the move. I had to salvage it from an early rough unfinished 720p 30 FPS render. Thank God I saved all of my gameplay footage to my SSD. This is a message to all of you, my graceful American and European watchers. Your views in this absolute dogshit of an economy are bringing me an additional pretty penny. Venezuelan gold farmer situation. So please, do all of the algorithm thingies. I hope YouTube itself would allow me to engage with the high point system for the first time. And I'll be working hard on the second part of the series. Ooh, there's so much fun to come.